Brande Davison here. I'm a design team member with Coco Daisy, and I'm here today with the memory keeping pocket kit of the Serengeti collection. That's our June collection, to show you a 12 by 12 layout I've made. So today's challenge for me was to create a design on 1/3 of the horizontal. So think 1/3 of the page along the bottom, 1/3 of the page along the middle, or 1/3 of the page along the top. And I decided to go with the bottom. I'm using these 4 photos of me and my best friend when a group of us, my husband and a group of us, were in South Africa. That are of us sitting on an ostrich for a photo and standing on ostrich eggs, which are super, super strong, again, for a photo because we were those classic tourists. And I was inspired to bring these photos up out of my 2015 archives that have yet to be documented because of this collection specifically. And this ostrich here just was perfect. And so apologies for the moving camera there. I'm just rubbing the ostrich on. Like, look at how perfect that is. And so what I've done is I've just gone into the rub-ons for the memory keeping pocket kit, and I've cut out the ostrich, and then I put it on a piece of white textureless, like smooth back cardstock, and I've just rubbed him on, and I'm going to fussily cut him out, and he's going to be like the perfect die cut. And I thought it would just be funny to put him as the only animal on here and just poke him out above us, kind of thing, because they definitely do that. Even when we were driving around in this, like, I don't know, trailer thing that you get to see the Oscar Farm grounds on, they kind of just poke their heads in and around the trailer and into the, so it just makes me laugh every time. So what I'm thinking of is to put a little bit of mixed media behind this. So I tend to dabble a little. So what I've done is I've taken the phrase stickers that actually come with this kit as well. I've pulled them out of the packaging, and I'm going to use the packaging. And the stamp pad that comes with this kit is like a burnt bronzy copper orange. I'm sure there's a better name for it, and I should probably have looked on the website for the exact name. So I've just stamped it onto the plastic that I pulled off of the phrase stickers, and then I've added a couple of squirts of water, and then I just let it fall onto the page, as you can see here, and then you get this really cool effect. So I did roll over it really quickly with my full roll of paper towel just to soak some of it up. I'm not using a mixed media cardstock, and I didn't gesso or prepare the back in any way, so it's just a standard Basil Avalanche cardboard or cardstock, so it tends to soak up the water and warp a little, so I tend to pick a little bit up with paper towel. So I've come back in, again, I've just stamped on the plastic, add a little bit of water. In that case, prior to this, I did the kissing technique where you just kind of rub the plastic onto your page to get a really cool watercolor splotch, and then came back in with some more drips. And now I'm just using my paintbrush with some of the paint that's left over there to just darken up a few of the spots. So at the top there, to kind of provide a bit of balance to that, the heavy bottom that it's going to look like, I put some more paint there, sort of, but just by scraping the brush on the edge, and then it will pool wherever it's wet, and then just in a few of these splotches. And what I love about watercolor is where it's already wet on the page and I used my paintbrush, it just sucks right out of the paintbrush and keeps the same shape that the droplet or the kissing technique, the smoosh, already kept. So I'm not like I'm actually painting, I'm just sort of putting the paintbrush to where it was already wet, and then that paper is going to just pull in that color. So you don't have to, like, I'm not an artist per se. I can't draw or paint anything for the life of me. But I can let a paintbrush get sucked up by another section of the paper. So, yeah. So I've just wiped off that plastic packaging that came off the phrase kits and put it back on. It's totally, no plastic packaging was harmed in the making of this mixed media. So. And I should apologize now. I did have my page pulled down too close to me. You can see every once in a while I push it back up. I find as I get going and sort of like, oh, this idea and that idea, I tend to pull my project closer and closer to where I am, which sometimes makes it out of the camera. So I do apologize. I do push it up later a few times and turn it so you'll see the whole thing. But yeah, obviously the layout was done, so I couldn't refilm, and I thought it would still be a good process video to share, or that there's a few who might be interested, so I kept going. So now what I'm doing here is I've cut some papers, and I'll chat about those in a second here, but I've also gone through the actual pocket cards that come with this kit, and there's 4x6 cards and there's 2x3 cards. And my idea is to really keep this a very orange textured layout. So I'm going to kind of try and find all the pieces in this kit, which is not hard to do, that have that kind of bright, brilliant, burnt orange color and a bit of texture. And I found those in those Pocket Life cards, which is where I pulled them apart. And then of the actual pages that come with this, it's not a 12 by 12 kit, but it is so easy to use for 12 by 12, as you'll see here. I've just cut 2 equal strips, and then I've used that, you can see the zebra there, and here's I'm doing like a 3 rows of pattern paper behind my pictures. And that's the second row, and then that zebra will be the first row, and I will pull the paper up, you'll see it, and then this little kind of speckled guy will be the top row. And this little tool that I'm using is, must be 20 years old from Creative Memories. It's a ripping tool. It doesn't work when you don't have enough to sort of grab, so I went back in with my scissors, but I've just created a bit of texture on the top of each of these rows. As you can see sort of there, it's a bit bent over. So I used my ripping tool, and then I went back in with really sharp scissors and just roughed up the edges. And a couple of places where it ripped a little bit, embrace it. Like, that's all part of kind of looking quite distressed. So that's what I'm going to be doing here, and I'm going to take these first ones I cut to create sort of the first part, and then I'm going to just layer up the other pieces I cut just in mirror to make it look like I have a 12 by 12 piece across the bottom. This is 100% fine. Like, I still get that 12 by 12 layout. You won't see where I have kind of created a seam. And the reason I'm using my tiny attacher is I just find it easier where you've got sort of a bunch of things that you want to stay in the same spot. And we all know if you lift them up and then glue them, they never go in the exact same spot, or at least your brain doesn't let you think so. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put a staple where I know I'm putting something else. Like in this case, I'm going to put the photos over top just to hold them in place. And then I just go back through and lift up the edges and add glue. So just a little trick from, too many times loving my layout, then picking it up to glue it down and hating it after. So yeah. So you're not going to see a lot of what I've layered there in the 3, but I still think it gives it a really nice base. You can definitely see the zebra, and just out the sides you can see the other pieces, but they look good. And then, along the top of my photos, I'm going to have Mr. Ostrich poking out because that is hilarious to me. And then I just took these pocket life cards and I created tags. So I simply cut them in half. I cut one corner, and then I use that little bit that I cut off and hold it on the other corners, and then just cut along it. And then your sides are identical. I find when I freehand the sides, like both of them, I end up making them uneven, and then just have to keep cutting, and eventually I don't have a tag left because I've cut so many times. And then I just use my little hole punch to make it look like a tag. And this one here, I really liked, I wanted a little bit of a skinnier tag because it's nice when your tags aren't always totally uniform in shape or height. And so I just cut the portion of the Pocket Life card that I wanted the colors from, and then using the same technique, I cut one corner and then just held that little corner on the next one and cut along with my scissors. And then I'm going to use my hole punch. And when I do that, I just line up 2 cards. I can't do more than that at a time. And then they, again, sort of stay uniform. And you'll see there that Pocket Life card actually said June rules. I don't scrapbook by the day in the life or the day in the week, and I don't do any pocket scrapbooking. But I love pocket scrapbook supplies. For this reason, you can create tags without cutting up a big sheet of paper. And when you're tucking and layering, you don't need to worry as much about what's on the actual Pocket Life card. Like that one said June rules. This was not June, the travel layout that I'm doing here. But tuck it down and you can't see it said that, and you still get the great colors. So just a little tip there. And if you're a person who really likes to layer behind your photos to show like a bunch of colors or 2 or 3 mats, getting the Pocket Life or the pocket cards is a fantastic way to do that, and you're not cutting up a bigger piece of paper to do that with. You're just working with what you've already got. So this is the look I'm going for. It's just kind of a random jumble of tags, and I've left a bit of a gap there so there's some white space, and for my ostrich guy to poke up because, I don't know, it just makes me so happy. So it was feeling very bottom heavy, which was the point of the challenge. That's not lost on me, but I just thought I'd provide a little bit of balance by taking those, the pieces that I ripped off my sort of my anchor patterns, and just stapling a little jumble at the top. So in no particular order, just took a little piece of each and put them at the top there, just over top into the side, sort of off center from where I had added the paint prior from the stamp pad. And then because my photos are so dark, I felt like I needed something to sort of balance the dark photos and wanted to put some black on the layout. So what I've done there is I've just put a big squirt of black Nouveau on my stamp pad, added a splick of water, a little sploosh of water, and then I've just taken a paintbrush and I'm just splattering. and it's sort of messy. I mean, this is, you know, I don't know, sitting on an ostrich and taking a photo feels a bit messy to me, so I just embrace that look. Um, and what I like about using the Nuvo dots for this is that the bit of water where you add it, it lets you splatter them. It looks a little bit cloudy when you do, but don't worry, it will dry without that kind of cloudy look. But the splatters are really dense, and they give you like a true black or whatever color you're working with. And they give a bit of texture and gloss. So unlike, I could have used any of the black watercolors or acrylics or whatever that are in my stash to create those, but you don't get that sort of texture and that true gloss from them. And sometimes the paper soaks it up too much, especially when you're using like a basil textured cardstock. So that's why I like about the Nuvo. So this is what I'm just putting those back in my tags, and where they were a little bit too long, I just cut the bottom, so that because I've already glued down the rest that's underneath it, so I'm hitting the glue. Yeah, and then I just went back in and glued those down, and now I'm just gonna basically I'm embellishing. So I went to the Memory Keeping Pocket Kit and pulled out the die cuts, and so that's what you're seeing there. And there's a load of phrases and sayings that are sort of, some are arrows, some are just like that documented one. Some are kind of having like just all different shapes to them. Some have that kind of little pendant tag bottom and stuff. So I'm just going to create a bit of a cluster. And at the top here, I just thought I would take that extra bit I cut from the Pocket Life tag and make a little bit more orange, which I ended up not keeping that, I don't think, even though now when I look at this, and I probably do this every time, I think that looks really good, and I probably could have left it, but I didn't. So tucked a few things. That's the die cut kits, and then I'm going to go through the sticker sheet that also comes with this kit, and I'm going to pull out a few pieces that sort of have that orange look I'm looking for, a little bit of black, and then that sort of match the theme. And so what I like to do when I have stickers is I put them on a little bit of white scrap paper there. So I just stick it right down, and then I fussy cut around it. One, as you can see, I like to really move things around. So if things sort of function like a die cut, that's really easy because you can move them anywhere and you don't have to worry about them sticking down. But two, I also like having kind of the die cut is, really flat. And then the sticker, because it's on a bit of cardstock, it's a little bit higher. And so I kind of like, it gives it a kind of, I don't know, just multi-dimensional, I guess. Multiple textures, I guess, is how I would say it. So I just think it looks really cool. And that's one of the benefits of that. So I've gone through the pieces of the kit to see if there's any more rub-ons I want, or to see if I'm going to use those alphas. And I ended up steering clear of the alphas this time because I really couldn't think of where to place my title. And I had so many phrase stickers that I thought it would sort of compete. So I didn't end up doing like a big title on this page. But yeah, so what I'm doing there is I've got two of those stickers that I've got the little circles, and there was one with black. And I just grabbed I've got like a self-inking date stamp that I use on everything, and I thought I would just stamp the date on that black and white little circle there and layer it where you see it. I don't end up keeping it actually, so I was going to sort of cut this part out, but I appreciate that, showing that not every time it works out like I thought it would, and I like when other people, when I watch their process videos, when they do that, because it just makes me feel normal. So I left it in there, but you'll see that I ditch it. So here I am. This is the phrase sheet that comes with this kit as well. And yeah, my total weakness. And I'm just going through having a bit of fun, pulling off some of the ones that I think are relative to this particular event and just finding a place for them. And I just really wanted a clustered, layered, messy look here. So kind of wanted to use all the things. So yeah. So a few of these move around a little bit more. You can sort of see my shadow there that unfortunately I'm trying to get some glue. And I did end up putting a few there. I was going to say, I do push it upwards so you can see the bottom of the layout there. That's so much better. I apologize. So I've got two die cuts that are at the bottom. I've got my tiny attacher. Now what I'm doing with my tiny attacher is using it to just give some dimension. So I don't know. I think it's, seems like a great embellishment, and is sort of a cheater's way to look like an embellishment, but really you're just keeping something in the same spot without having to try and glue it in the same spot. So I'll often pick up two things that I want to stay at the same angle and use the stapler there, or I'll staple something right on the page. So I'm just going to move that photo around a little bit, and then these circles that are off the sticker sheet are actually going to hide where it says on that pocket card that I cut as a tag where it says June rules. I just used that little embellishment cluster of circles to hide that. So just gluing this down, I did rough up the paper underneath, so it has quite a bit of texture behind those photos. So I'm just having to hold it down to make sure that the glue holds because it's sitting quite high on the page. Now glue these guys down. I love that black and white documented. I wish it came with like 10 of those in the die cut kit. I could use that everywhere. And one of the things I should probably say too is I don't journal on my design team pages when I show them on, social media or here in the process videos. But when I put my stuff in the album, that is where I add my journaling. I like to get into, all the feels and all the personal stuff when I get into my journaling. So, and often the photos aren't just of me. So I find if I just wait to do the journaling, what you're getting is like the true design, which is what I'm trying to show, as well as I was finding I was sort of changing what I wanted to say a little bit if I was putting it on social media. So now I just wait. And then when I go to do sort of my, fill all the albums with all the layouts of the last how many months, I grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and I sit down with my journal pen and I just journal before I organize them. So it makes for quite a nice morning. Yeah, so anyway, a little digression there, but that's why you won't see journaling, but this will get journaling, and I'll probably do it right below that top cluster and just kind of make it skinnier as I go to make it look like it's a little bit cascading. So there's my page for the most part, but this kit also comes with enamel dots, which if you give me enamel dots, I'm going to use them. That is how my brain rolls. I love them. So I'm just going to go through those as well. You'll see here that I'm pulling those out. And then, I'm playing a little bit more with the sticker. No, I leave it. I was going to put that little date circle down at the bottom there, and I think I end up keeping it there. So I'm playing with the enamel dots now. So these have orange, they've got a green, a sort of peachy color, a couple of greens actually, like a gray green, and then a yellow. And I've, again, focused on the orange ones primarily to create a bit of a cascade. So kind of connect the top little bit there with this bottom sort of mess with, I feel like by doing that, it's really drawing attention to that cute little ostrich guy that's poking out. So yeah, and that's pretty much me. I'm going to tuck a few more, and again, one more texture, right? Because they've got a bit of glitter to them and a little bit of gloss, and you're getting that multi-texture look, which I just love. So I hope you enjoyed my process video. I will wrap this up with some stills at the end so you can see all of those details. This is my first kick at the can as a Cocoa Daisy design team member in one of our challenges, so really quite fun, and I just can't thank you enough for watching. And I should add there, what I'm doing is just using my pen to add some fake stitching around the edges, so just really messily drawing along, not trying to make it fancy, and sometimes making purposeful scribbles just to give the edge to a page there so it doesn't just like it runs off. So again, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic June. And we'll see you in the next one.